Today we're talking Kwesi about Kirk. Yesterday at the Combine presser, Kwesi adofo-mensah made several interesting statements about Kirk Cousins, of which we are going to break all of them down, starting with, quote, "When the odds are shifted in his favor, he gets the most out of it." Shots fired? I don't think so. I think Kwesi's just simply stating what the masses already understands about Kirk, and that he's a pure pocket passer whose pocket awareness is not great. But when he has protection up front, when he has time, among other things, he can be extremely dangerous. Now, for those that do think Kwesi's taking a dig at Kirk, he needs everything to be perfect, ask yourselves this. What does Kwesi have to gain by doing that right now in this poor quarterback draft class, knowing that several teams will line up to initiate trade talks with him about Kirk, and that talking shit on Kirk will only drive down his trade value? What does he have to gain by doing that? I think this is nothing more than the face value of what he actually said. And going back to the quarterback draft class and how the consensus is that it absolutely stinks. I know that Kwesi rebutted that, saying, well, look at Deshaun Watson, look at Patrick Mahomes. Everybody thought their draft class stunk too. Oh, does that mean the Vikings are possibly looking at quarterbacks in this draft? I mean, anything's possible, but I'm betting on smokescreen here because no GM is going to show their hand to the other GMs in the league as far as who or what position they're looking at until it's time to make the official pick. That is, unless you've got the first overall pick, sometimes that happens. So if you think it's so obvious the Vikings are looking at quarterbacks, I would argue that the Vikings are obviously not looking at quarterbacks in this draft. Most of the pressers at the Combine, the sentences that the GMs are saying, usually amounts to nothing until it doesn't. Here's where I do think there's fire. Two things. Number one, when talking about the Vikings quarterback situation, Kwesi said, quote, "Everything is in play." I do believe him when he says that. Trade, contract extension, let Kirk play out his contract and be a free agent after. Kwesi adofo-mensah has zero ties to any players on this team. I do believe that every option is on the table. Number two, Kwesi had dinner with Kirk's agent, Mike McCartney. He shared about that meeting, quote, "We just talked generally about our vision for the team and what we want to accomplish. Look, those conversations are ongoing, and I can't tell you anything at this moment." Well, that tells me that Kwesi would like to get a contract extension with Kirk Cousins. There's no other reason to meet. It's not like there's a no-trade clause in his contract. All right, let's meet and talk about the potential teams your client would like to get traded to so we can make this happen. It appears that the negotiations have started. And Kwesi did also say, "We will do what's best for the Vikings, and Kirk will do what's best for Kirk. But there's a lot of middle ground for us to work well together." So Kwesi's basically saying, I want for Kirk to remain part of this team, but if you play hard to get, I'm selling you to the highest bidder. Whether it's a contract extension or a stalemate leading to a trade, we'll see what happens. Back at it tomorrow. We'll see you then.